All right, and we are up. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay, we're going to talk about Tank and this Isak Cruz fight that's coming up. But before we get into all of that, I just want to backtrack a little bit and talk a little bit more about the fights this past weekend. And once a few more people get in here, then I will jump right into the Tank Davis fight. All right. So before we get into Tank, let's talk a little bit. I wanted to go over a few fights. I know I did speak on Ennis and a couple of the other fights that went down over the weekend, but I did miss out on the Zepeda Vargas fight. I wanted to speak on that and a few others, and then get right into Tank real quick. Everyone that's coming in, make sure you smash the like button. What's up, Cristiano? What's up, Martin? What's going on? So Zepeda and Vargas. I just wanted to go over that real quick. If you guys haven't seen it, Josue Vargas fought Zepeda the other day, and I brought it up briefly in a live last week, but I didn't do an official prediction video. I was leaning more towards Zepeda because of his experience and the fact that Josue was young, wasn't really powerful, a good boxer, but just didn't have the experience that Zepeda had. Zepeda, to me, was a superior boxer and a superior puncher. And even though he didn't look good against Hank Lundy in his last performance, I kind of was still leaning towards him, but I wanted Josue to win because he's from the Bronx. And Josue got knocked out in the first round. Now, the thing about that fight, Josue was doing a lot going into that fight. And what I mean by that, he was really like the press conference and the weigh-in, he was being ultra disrespectful, but I felt like it was really, really forced. So when he got knocked out, it was like, I kind of didn't really feel bad for him. It was just like, whatever, I mean, he was just being too disrespectful, and it was real cringy to watch, Charles Edward Cheese with the super donation. Thank you, my brother. Charles Edward Cheese says, "What's up, Wave? I've been waiting for this live. Really, the last webisode a while ago, you mentioned you think there are boxers out there more skilled than Canelo. Who and why? Also, this Pitbull fight is one of the worst matchmaking decisions I have ever seen in my life ever." Damn, you said a lot, and I don't want to go that far and say that it's the worst I've ever seen in my life, but it's definitely tailor-made for Tank Davis. It's not the worst I ever seen, especially for a replacement opponent in a fight that's in 4 weeks. I don't care for this fight. You already know. You listen to me. You've been listening to me for a long time now. You know how I feel about Tank and his matchups. But this is not the worst. This is not what I wanted, but I kind of expected it because they kind of always play it safe with Tank. All right. As far as boxers that I think is more skilled than Canelo right now, I'm thinking Crawford. I think maybe I would probably say Crawford. I think Usyk is very debatable, but as far as skills right now, I really can't say any more than those two, to be honest. Right now, I'm talking about active fighters. Active fighters right now, I would probably only have to say those two. I can't think of anybody on top of my head that I think is more skilled than Canelo. I think those are the only two that I can really compare. I do like Inoue a lot, but I don't think he's more skilled than Canelo. I think the only ones that I could see, like as far as just the eye test, I would probably say Bud or Usyk is the only two, and even those two, I would say it's debatable between those three as far as who's the most skilled active to me. So those are my three as far as skills. I'm not talking about resume. I'm just talking about just what I think as far as skills, those two. But that's a very good question. I think everybody else is beneath Canelo, but those two are the only ones that I would really have to like think on who I think is the most skilled between those guys. Lomachenko as well. Lomachenko as well. You know, I still do. I know he lost to Teofimo, but Lomachenko's still up there too. He's in the debate as well. But I would have Canelo. I would take Canelo over Lomachenko. You know, I would take Canelo over Lomachenko. But so going back to what I was saying, right? Vargas did a lot of trash talking. I think that was his brother in the crowd that was crying like that, like someone got shot. It was crazy clip. I can't believe that the broadcast actually showed him in the crowd crying like that. It's pretty embarrassing. But listen, Josue could come back. It's not the end of the day. It's not the end of the day. It's not the end of his career. It's just that what made that fight or what made that knockout so big is the fact that Josue was being ultra disrespectful leading up to that fight. I mean, and you listen, I know you're trying to get into your opponent's head and everything, but he was doing the most. He was being real extra to a guy that wasn't really. He was very calm and very, he's a very chill guy. Zepeda, Jose Zepeda is very respectful. And this guy kept pushing it, and it started at the press conference. All right, it started there when he was yanking on his belt, and Zepeda kept it real cool. And then at the weigh-in, you had Josue doing the most again, and it's like, yo, bro, calm down. And sometimes fighters said that they're just trying to get into their opponent's head, but at the same time, I think that shows a lack of confidence. When you're trying to bully and you're trying to do all of that, sometimes it shows a lack of confidence in yourself because you feel that you have to do things like that in order to get some sort of advantage. And I definitely wasn't feeling it. I know he's from New York. We have a lot of mutual friends. I know people that know him personally. I never met Josue before, but I just wasn't feeling it. And when he got knocked out, I really didn't feel bad for him. It is what it is. All right. He was just way out of his league at that point. And Josue has never fought anyone on that level or even close. Zepeda has been in there with, Baranchek, Ramirez. He's been in there with top level dogs. So that's how I feel. I just wanted to get to that. Another real quick thing. Why do DAZN and Eddie Hearn keep giving Eric Molina fights? I seen that fight with Alan Babbage, who I'm not sold on yet. I don't think Alan Babbage beats the top 20 guys in the heavyweight division. I think he's cool, but I don't think he's really that good. And they keep putting Eric Molina in there. They put him with Fabio Wardley not too long ago. Why do he just keep getting checks? I mean, listen, and not for nothing, I thought Molina looked good at the weigh-in. Like at the weigh-in, he didn't look that bad. But why do they just keep giving this guy? I mean, Babbage, the first punch he threw, he was able to drop Molina. Enough is enough. Listen, I know he's been in there with Wilder. I know he's been in there with Joshua. All right, but he was never that good. He's lost just about every single one of his big fights. I mean, even Chris Arreola knocked him out in the first round years ago. And this is before Wilder. This is before Anthony Joshua got to him. All right, so how long are we going to just keep giving this guy opportunities? Enough is enough. This man is not making any of these up-and-coming fighters better. All right, so we got to get rid of him. Moving on. Michel Rivera, I did catch his fight. I like the young dude, young Dominican fighter at lightweight. I like what they're doing. He just beat Matias Romero, who is going to be, who's actually a recent opponent for Isaac Cruz as well. All right, so Michel Rivera, he looks good. He looks real smooth in there, has quick hands, got decent power. All right, I know a lot of people, he's going with the whole Muhammad Ali thing. It's cool. I like him. I do really like the kid. And I think he just got to keep doing what he's doing. You know, I think the 135 division, which I'm about to get into, there's a lot of things that need to get done in this division, right? That we're just not, there's a lot of names there, but there's not a lot of real activity, not a lot of real fights going down. All right. And we'll get to that more shortly. So Michel Rivera, just keep moving up in the rankings, keep doing what you're doing, keep getting better, you know, and he'll get his title opportunity down the line, but keep doing what you're doing. This is why I said Shakur Stevenson should stay at 130, run the show, keep getting those fights down at 130 because there's still a lot of fights at 130. Don't rush to move up to 135 because you're not going to even get the fights you want anyway. You're not going to get those fights. So stay at 130, you know, and fight prime time. You guys are just having a back and forth. Fight prime time. Fight Tevin Farmer. Fight Oscar Valdez. Fight all those guys before even moving up. You know, by the time you move up, you have more experience, and maybe some of these guys at 135 will be willing to face you at that point. But right now, 135, it's a joke. None of these guys are fighting each other, and there's no rush to, you know, guys like Michel Rivera. Just keep doing what you got to do. You'll get there. Just keep moving up in those sanctioning bodies. That's what I said about Boots Ennis yesterday. I said the same thing. Boots should just keep fighting who he needs to fight Butayev, you know, fight whoever that's around to move you up in those rankings so you could get to a mandatory position, because that's the only real way he's going to get a title shot. No one is going to volunteer to fight Boots Ennis. I'm sorry. Even if you think Spence or even if you think Bud can beat Boots, even if you think that, no one's going to volunteer to fight him. No one's going to do it. They're going to wait until he's a mandatory, and they're going to either move up or they're not going to do it. You know, they're just not going to do it. I could see Bud possibly doing it, but, you know, Bud is already at 34. You know, he doesn't have much time. I don't know if he still is going to entertain a Spence fight. You know, lately he said he's not going to deal with the fight anymore, but maybe if there's a certain amount of money that's thrown at him at a certain point, maybe he will take the fight. Who knows? All right, but listen, these guys, I think what I suggest for all of these guys is keep taking a fight that is going to push you up those sanctioning bodies so you can earn a title shot. You know, these call-outs, they don't matter anymore. You know, the call-outs don't work. You know, most of these fighters are not even sending real offers out. Just get yourself in a mandatory position so you can get the fight in. All right. Let me go. Charles Edward Chief says, "Come on, man. Dude is shorter and slower and less skilled than Tank." Listen, I don't think Isaac Cruz has a chance. All right. I don't think he has a chance, but you know, it is what it is. You know, that's who they picked to fight Tank, and that's what we're getting. You know, EC says, "I thought it was crazy. The dad was crying in the locker room. They went in for an interview." Oh, I didn't even see that part. I mean, listen, you know, you lose a fight, I'm sure people are going to cry, but the way the brother was crying in the crowd and they showed him, it looked crazy. It just looked wild. It looked like it looked like somebody was in the emergency room and they found out that their relative wasn't going to make it. That's what it looked like. It looked crazy to me. All right. The fact that they filmed it and they broadcasted that was crazy to me. All right. Especially when you talk that much leading into the fight. You talk was being ultra disrespectful. We're talking about Josue Vargas, by the way. Only two people in recent times who have successfully talked smack lately was Taylor versus Ramirez and Fury versus Wilder. I mean, talking smack, is nothing wrong with talking smack, but this guy was being super disrespectful. He was trying to be a bully, and it looked corny and it looked forced. What's up, Boxing Gyms? Boxing Gym says Canelo is great at what he does, but as far as the whole of boxing skill, he isn't the most skilled. I can stop at his footwork. Or I think you meant I could start at his footwork. I mean, that's everybody's opinion. You know, I think at the bare minimum, I think he's top 5 most skilled, in my opinion. And I think he's very, very well rounded. And I think that's part of the reason why I think he's the most skilled, because I think he can literally fight every fight. I don't think he's the best at fighting every single style, but I think he can literally fight any type of fight. And that's why I put him there so high. All right. All right. So look. Oh, one more fight I want to get through. I know I spoke on it briefly yesterday. Butayev against James. Now, I was able to go back and see the fight, and I'm watching the fight, and I'm wondering why. Why is James going blow to blow with Butayev? You know, Butayev is coming forward. You know, he's the bigger puncher between the two. Jamal James has never been a big puncher. You know, he's a slim guy, very slim guy at 147. He doesn't pack a lot of power. Why was he going blow to blow with Butayev? You know, I saw the Besputin fight with Butayev, and I know in that fight, Besputin picked the spots to get in, to rumble, and he will be back on the move. You know, I expect, like, if Boots were to fight him or any of other top welterweight were to fight Butayev, I don't think that standing in the pocket and then trading blows is the best thing to do, you know? And I'm surprised Jamal James took that route. Jamal boxed well, but I was really, really, really surprised. What's up, bro? What's up, brother? I was surprised he actually sat in the pocket and went and tried to trade with him for that long. You know, because Butayev was just digging into his body. And James showed a lot of heart, and he took a lot of damage. All right, he looked very durable. But I'm surprised he fought that fight, that kind of fight. You know, I thought he was going to move a little bit, you know, use his reach, you know, work behind his jab. I didn't think he would sit there and have a phone booth fight with Butayev, especially after seeing the Besputin fight and the way that Besputin boxed in there. Even though he cheated and he was juiced up, I'm still surprised that James fought that kind of fight. All right, but it was a really good fight, though. It was a really good fight. As far as the stoppage, I don't think the fight needed to be stopped. All right, but it's one of those ones where, you know, the ref made the call, and you know, James was taking a lot of damage, you know, but I like him, and I would love to see Boots fight him. I would like to see that fight. I think that is an upgrade from both. You know, I know Butayev is not really that known, but I think that's a huge upgrade compared to everybody else that Boots has faced at this time. You know what I'm saying? So I think in that fight, Boots will have to really focus and rely on his boxing, like, for real. You're not going to get the one punch knockout. You're going to have to work for that one. You know what I'm saying? Just like Virgil Ortiz recently with the Mean Machine. That is going to be one of those ones that you get caught slipping, you might get clipped. So just like Ortiz almost did in that Mean Machine fight, the Kavaliauskas fight. All right, that's a fight where you got to really be focused. You can't make too many mistakes. There's not much room for error there because the dude can't crack. You know, he's a beast. He's very strong, and his amateur pedigree is crazy. He has like 400 amateur fights. So Butayev is legit. He's legit. Like, that would be a good fight. And he's in his prime. He's not old and washed up. You know, he hasn't taken a bunch of losses or anything like that. I really like that fight. Really like that fight. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about Tank in this fight against Isaac Cruz. All right, look. I've said this before, but we got to get some understanding here on why these fights take place. I know people are getting mad at Tank. They're getting mad at the promoters over there. All right, the Leonard Ellerbes. These guys are 100% business. That's what us fans need to understand. The way they're pushing Tank, it's very predictable at this point. All right. I know people are talking about legacies. They keep bringing up his WBA baby belts. And I have too. All right. I know people are bringing these up. Like, these hardcore fans, like myself, like many of you, you want him to fight the real dudes. You want to see him fight Loma. You want to see him fight Tio, Devin Haney, Josh Taylor, you know, reach his progress. When he was at 130, you wanted the Tevin Farmer fight. I hear you all, and I've been saying this for years. Once he proved that he could beat Pedraza, he should have been fighting better fighters. But once, you know what I realize now? The Pedraza fight, that fight was just to show everybody how good Tank was, right? That made him, right? I mean, outside of being Floyd's protege, that fight made him. Like, look, this kid is that good. But now that they had him there, they're just going to work off his name and his name alone. They don't want to make any big fights. All right? They'd rather sell you a name like a Leo Santa Cruz, a guy that has a name, a guy that, you know, people are going to come out and support. But realistically, he was the underdog, and he was an underdog for a reason. It doesn't matter how many championships in other divisions he won. He was moving up to fight Tank, right? And in my opinion, I thought he was tailor-made for Tank. And now, was it a good fight? Absolutely. It was a fun fight to watch. So was Mario Barrios. Another fun fight to watch. This might be a fun fight to watch. As long as Cruz lasts, it may be a fun fight to watch. But at the end of the day, these guys are working off Tank's name alone. They're not working off the only thing they're going to do with other people's names, like Tio or Ryan Garcia or Lomachenko or whoever, is to promote the fight. Let's have these Twitter back and forths, but then we're going to put him in the ring with one of our fighters. Nobody else. We're not going to put him in there with all of these guys that we're going to keep making videos about. We're going to put him in there because, you know what, at the end of the day, and I talk to people that know about boxing, that follow it a little bit, but let me tell you something. They're not concerned about the WBA baby belts. They're not concerned about him fighting Teofimo Lopez and all of these other guys like Josh Taylor. They're not concerned with that. A lot of people that love Tank just love Tank. They're not concerned about who Tank. When it comes to casuals, and sorry, there's more casuals than there are hardcore fans when it comes to Tank Davis. They're going to put him in there with whoever they want to put him in there with. That is the sad truth. I can make a million videos on here, give you a million different people I want to see Tank fight. And they never come through. You know why? Because they don't feel they need to. Tank is going to sell himself. Even if he just does a 250K pay-per-view buys, that's all they're looking for. Consistency and wins. Guaranteed. Pick chosen opponents. WBA strap. Championship. They sell it as a championship. He's defending his title. That's what they sell it as. Nobody knows that it's just a baby belt. No one cares. Only people on YouTube and hardcore fans that stay on social media are complaining about this. We are the only ones that really know what's going on. There's not enough of us. In fact, right now, I'm promoting this fight. Me and every other person on YouTube that's talking about Isaac Cruz is promoting the fight. When we were talking about Rolly Romero and the way he showed up with the fur in 80-degree weather, we were promoting the fight. Even though Rolly is not even an opponent anymore, we're still, because Rolly is officially gone. So if you didn't hear the news, Rolly Romero is officially replaced because of his sexual assault allegations. They pulled him out. He's out. We already promoted the fight, and we do it over and over. Even if we're talking about Tank, ducking, or cherry picking, even if you're making that kind of content, we're still promoted the fight. You think Leonard Ellerbe and these dudes don't know what they're doing? So all this stuff about legacy and becoming undisputed, all of this stuff, that stuff does not matter. That is not the goal. You have to wonder, do Tank care about that stuff? At this point, if you guys have been watching Tank as long as I've been watching him, do you really think that Tank is sitting around thinking about becoming the undisputed champion at 135 or at 140 or at 130 when he was there? Do you guys think he cares about that? Just think about it. Look, He beat Jose Pedraza, right? Who was a champion and who was undefeated at that time. Huge step up for Tank. Huge step up for Tank. If you look at his resume, he beat Pedraza, fought Liam Walsh. Why? Fought Francisco Fonseca. Fought Jesus Cuellar, Hugo Rios, Ricardo Nunes, Gamboa, Leo Santa Cruz, Mario Barrios. Does that resume sound like someone that's trying to shoot for Hall of Fame? Legacy? Undisputed? No, that is not the resume for that. Some of those fights there are fun fights at the most. But all of these fights going into the fight, we know what's going to happen here. Tank is 25 wins with 24 knockouts. We already know the outcome. The fight is going to sell itself, whatever it does. People are going to show out. Whatever arena it's going to be full. It's going to be packed. That is their goal. It's strictly business. All of this legacy stuff, it does not concern Tank Davis. It's unfortunate because I would love it if Tank really fought these other top dudes that want to fight him. I would love it. But I've understood a long time ago that it is what it is. Isaac Cruz is exactly what you want, Devin Haney? Nah, we got to give you Isaac Cruz. A Pitbull. That's why I called it in the thumbnail. We got a Tank fighting a Pitbull. And this fight is going to go exactly how a real life Tank would go against a Pitbull. He's going to get smashed. Now, I seen Isaac Cruz fight. I seen him fight a couple of times. He's a beast. He's a beast. All right, but you know, when it comes to Tank, he's tailor-made. You know, he comes in, he's short. First of all, I think he's the shorter. I think this is the first time Tank is actually fighting someone that's shorter than him. All right, Cruz is one real rugged, short, rugged, crazy dude. He's coming straight forward and he's just throwing bombs. He's a brawler, straight up. He's a straight brawler. He doesn't care. He's going to hit you low. He's going to do whatever. You know, he's young. He has one loss. He has a loss and a draw earlier in his career, but he's young. He's only 23 years old. He's been pro since his teens. You know, he's coming in. He's shorter than Tank, so he's just going to try to close the gap and brawl with Tank. That's what he's going to do. But you know what? Cuellar, Jesus Cuellar was supposed to be that, right? I know he's not as short, but that was more of his style. And Cuellar came out trying. I remember that fight. Cuellar tried to come out being aggressive against Tank, like he was with Mares and all of the other fighters that he fought, right? But you know what? Once he came in and started how to deal with that speed of Tank, that timing of Tank, those uppercuts from Tank, he fell back. And this is what happened. When a pit bull is tamed, you know, once you get him once he's fearful of you, they're nothing. That's what's gonna happen in this fight. He's gonna come in with that really aggressive style of fighting, and he's gonna feel Tank. He's gonna if he doesn't get knocked out early, he's gonna feel that power. And guess what? He's going to fall back, and he's going to have to resort to his boxing, which is not that good. And Tank is going to walk him down and beat him up and stop him. If Tank doesn't catch him coming in, he's going to walk him down, and he's going to beat him down until he stops him. That's it. That's all the breakdown you need from this fight. Because I've seen this play out over and over and over again. I know what Tank is capable of doing, and this guy ain't it. He's cool. You know, I looked him up. You know, he's, what's it called? BoxRec has him as number 8. You know, I seen him in the sanctioning bodies. I seen him. I think in the IBF he's number 3. You know, and he's number 7 somewhere. He's number 10 somewhere. So he's ranked. You know, I mean, he's coming off his 2 biggest wins. So he has a lot of momentum, and he's very fun to watch. But yo, he ain't it. Tank. This guy is not bringing anything that Tank hasn't seen. Mario Barrios was more credible because of his height, his reach, his size. That was a good fight because he can box. He was tall, but he could box. So he was giving Tank some trouble as far as rounds are concerned. All right, but he didn't match his power. Same thing with Leo. Same thing. He was taller. He was longer. You know, he was able to box well against Tank. Tank was taking a lot of punches in that fight. So it was a good fight. But Isaac Cruz, nah. See, the thing about Rolly Romero, the one thing I'll say about him, the one thing I'll say about him when it was going into the fight, that's another fight I wasn't really asking for, right? But I would have preferred that fight over this. And I know Isaac Cruz is a replacement. You know, got 4 weeks into the fight. They're going to throw somebody in there. So they got to do what they got to do. But the one thing about Rolly, at least with Rolly, is that he's so awkward. He's so weird. He has a lot of power, but he's very awkward because he's able to punch from some weird, unusual angles. And sometimes that can give certain fighters trouble. Guys that are a little bit more traditional, they can get thrown off by the weirdness of his angles or whatever, right? So, and plus the guy has power, you know, and plus he's like a brawler too, but he's a brawler with awkward angles, all right? And he has more power and he has more size and strength than Isaac Cruz, right? So I gave Rolly a little bit more chance against Tank than Cruz. Cruz, if he's really, really durable, and I think this is the only case where this fight can be competitive. If Isaac Cruz is really, really durable, if he is, and he can take Tank's power better than anyone that we've seen Tank face, then it will be a good fight. Because Tank is going to have to do a lot to keep him off of him. You don't want a little guy that's shorter than you, which Tank is not used to fighting. You don't want a little guy up on you, right? Like that, going to your body, you know, all over you like that. He's 23, he's young, and he's very aggressive. So you don't want a guy like that on you. But Tank is gonna hurt him. That boy ain't never been in there with anyone that hits like Tank. Tank is a puncher, like for real. Those guys, he's been in there, Vargas and Romero, those guys that Cruz has been in there, they're not on Tank's level. Not even close. Not even close. Well, I seen your comment, Charles. The only way this changes is if we, the fans, don't support, but that ain't going to happen. If Jake Paul can sell fights, well, then Tank can definitely be the star of his own little pond. And that's exactly my point. You know, Tank supporters are going to show up and show out whenever he fights. People love to see him fight because he's fun to watch fight. I love watching Tank fight. I'm not even going to lie. I love watching Tank fight. His fights, I like the way he boxes. I like his power. I love I like Tank since I watched him from the beginning. You know, and people are gonna support it. You know, he's not fighting the people I don't want, you know, I mean, I have a boxing channel, so I support the boxing as a sport. But let me tell you, if I didn't have a channel or any of this, I wouldn't care for the fight. I just wouldn't care for this one. You know, this doesn't do it for me at all. You know, and that's the thing. People just want to see Tank fight. They don't really care about who he's facing. You know, Tank doesn't sell. Jake Paul does. Well, Tank doesn't sell nearly as much as Jake Paul does. All right. But saying he doesn't sell, I wouldn't say he doesn't sell. All right. I don't think he's on the level as Jake Paul or any of the top guys like, you know, the Wilders or the Joshuas or the Canelos of the world, but or Fury, you know, those guys. But he does sell. and he does have a crowd that people do go and watch the fights live. I haven't ever been to a Tank fight, but anytime I see them on TV, or the people that I know that's gone to the fights say that people always showed up to the fights, and it looks like it on TV. Robert C., thank you for the donation. Those fighters from Mexico, especially Mexico City, are very durable. I agree. If Cruz can weather the storm and land a shot, he may be able to hurt Tank. Yeah, you know what? You're right. But I think his style is tailor-made because he's going to be walking in. And Tank just might have to be forced to move his legs. That's why I compared Cruz to the Cuellar fight. Cuellar he came out trying to be aggressive. And once he felt Tank's power, he had to fall back a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But Cruz is he's been, I think he's, let me look him up. Cruz has been a career lightweight, all right, where Cuellar was fighting at 126 and eventually moved up to 130 or 135 or whatever weight that was. So even though Cruz is short, he's used to fighting taller guys. I mean, the little bit of highlights I've seen, everybody he fights is taller than him, but yeah, he is very durable, so if that's the key thing. If he could take the power, if he could take Tank's power, then this could be one hell of a fight. But I don't think so. We'll just have to wait and see, But good comment. I'm more excited for Crawford and Porter. I mean, that's top welterweights fighting each other. These are two top 3 or top 5 welterweights fighting each other, in my opinion. So I love that fight. I can't wait to cover that fight, man. I will definitely I wouldn't miss that fight for the world. I can't wait to cover that fight live. But I wanted to really just express what's going on with Tank and how I feel and how I see these guys doing it. When they're able to, when Leonard, I study, like I don't want to say I study, but I pay attention to Leonard Ellerbe. He's a pure businessman. He's a pure promoter. He knows he knows what to say to get people talking. And I think he does his job well. You might hate him, but as a businessman, when he says things like Josh Taylor doesn't sell tickets, he's a nobody, he hasn't done anything, he says stuff like that to get people rattled because they are playing the villain role. So people are going to tune in hopes to see Tank lose. Even Mayweather did it. When Mayweather was talking all that trash to Oscar De La Hoya, people tuned in because they wanted to see Mayweather get knocked out. The same thing with Jose Vargas on a smaller scale the other day. Jose Vargas got people's attention. People that didn't even really know who he was. He got people's attention just because of the level of disrespect he showed at the weigh-in at the press conference. So once he lost, what did everyone do? Go to his social media, start laughing at him, sending him all these emojis because he got people pissed off. So you got to think what these guys are doing. Leonard Ellerbe, he's an excellent promoter because he's doing exactly what he has to do to keep people talking. All this stuff about legacy, if he could say that a guy like Teofimo Lopez or a guy like Josh Taylor, who's won and unified and become undisputed, if he could make it seem like that's nothing, who cares? He got undisputed. Who cares? He don't sell any tickets. Well, if they don't sell any tickets and they don't care about undisputed at all, that just goes to show you that these guys are all about business, nothing else. And guess what? The casuals have no idea what you guys are talking about because they know as Tank as a champion. They know him as a guy that's under Floyd Mayweather, his protege. They know him as a guy that's undefeated with a bunch of knockouts. He has an almost 100% KO ratio. They're not thinking about all this baby belt stuff. They're not thinking about who's undisputed. They're not thinking about that. They are focused on seeing Tank fight. So Tank is fight. Yo, Tank, you gonna watch the fight tonight? Tank is fighting tonight. That's all they're thinking about. That's it. And I'm not saying all this to defend Tank, because I know people are going to leave comments like, why are you defending him? I'm not defending him. I want him to fight Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Josh Taylor. I would love to see him fight those real guys, those real dudes in those divisions. He needed to fight Tevin Farmer. And I knew, I said to you guys back then, when he was at 130 and him and Tevin Farmer had that back and forth and Eddie offered Tank all that money to fight Tevin Farmer, I was like, take that money, go over there, knock Tevin. No disrespect to Tevin Farmer, because I like Tevin Farmer. But Tevin Farmer was going to get knocked out by Tank, in my opinion. And he still didn't fight Tevin Farmer. And that's a very winnable fight. These guys are about their business and nothing more, nothing less. I think with Haney, the thing with Haney, Tio, Ryan got a name, but Ryan kind of lost a lot of steam this year with his shenanigans. So, Ryan I think he lost a lot of his buzz, to be honest. But let's say Tio, let's just stick to Tio. I'm not going to bring up 140 guys, because I think those guys at 140 is unrealistic. They picked Mario Barrios to show that he could win another title in another division. They didn't pick a top fighter at 140. So let's just get 140 out of there. Let's be realistic. Tio, Loma. Oh, no, I don't even say Loma anymore, but let me say Tio and Devin. They're not going to fight Tio or Devin unless the money is so big that they can't deny it. The fight would have to be so big that it's worth the risk. And most likely, it might even have, if they can make themselves, because look how much it took just to make the Canelo fight. Even the Canelo fight almost fell through. And that's Canelo. That's Canelo. I'm talking about Canelo and Plant. Even that almost fell through. And that's Canelo. I mean, Canelo just sold out 70,000 seats in his most recent fight against Saunders. So only on certain occasions, they will take the risk to step on the outside and pull somebody over to get someone like Tank to fight. Unfortunately, regardless of accomplishments or regardless of the man of the fight, they will not put Tank in there with those two unless it's big for Tank. It's big enough for him. And sorry, Tio and Devin, unfortunately, in their eyes, they don't see those guys even worth, because they're looking at it like, I know Tio has 4 titles, but we don't care. Remember, stay with me. They don't care about the titles. That's why they're chasing baby belts, right? So being that we know that they don't care about the major titles, why are they going to pull Teofimo Lopez? Because they're looking at it, well, if Tio beats Devin, or if Tio beats Tank, it's a bigger win for those guys. That's the way they're looking at it. They're not looking at it as the fact that Tio might lose all his titles. When it comes to Devin Haney, those two are actual rivals. They have been for a while. They sparred together. They talk trash together. They're both cool with Floyd. But they don't feel like Devin is big enough to take that risk. He's just not big enough. For them to do it, it has to be a risk worth the possible loss. So that's the problem, man. What do I think about Canelo's comments about Ryan? I mean, he's saying what he needed to be said. I think he's right. Come on, y'all. I think I actually like it. Because you know what? The people that are closest to you are supposed to be honest. And I think that's a problem that we have here. Um, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're supposed to be real. You're supposed to have people in your circle that's going to tell you how it is. Now, should he have went public about it? I don't know. You know, that's one of those things that if I know you, I would just tell you. But if the question was asked to Canelo about how he feels about Ryan, and that's the answer he gave, then he was just being honest. And that's the problem with boxing now. Like, you know, guys take it the wrong way when, like, you say certain things. Like me having a boxing channel, right? Let's say I run into a boxer that watches my channel, and we're cool, which has happened, by the way. I'm not gonna say any names, but I'm cool with them. And I made a video where I didn't predict them to win. Now, it's just a prediction. It's not like I like the other fighter more than you. It's nothing personal. It's just that if you're going to ask me about how I think a fight is going to go, I'm going to be honest. So I might like you, but I'm going to be honest at the same time. So because I picked against you, even if you did lose, you're going to feel salty that I picked against you. Even if you won, you're still going to be salty that I picked against you. It's not that I picked against you. Me picking against you is me saying I want you to lose. That's why in my breakdowns, I sometimes tell you who I'm rooting for if I care enough for a fighter. If I'm a personal fan of a fighter, I let you guys know. I'm gonna give you a breakdown, tell you how I think the fight is gonna go, but I'm gonna also tell you who I personally think is gonna win and who I actually favor. You know, as far as who I'm a fan of. There's a difference. It's like with music. You know, I might, like, when it comes to hip hop, I might say that, oh, lyrically, I think this rapper is the greatest. But I personally like this rapper better because it's just his music is my cup of tea. But this guy is far more lyrical than the other one. It's the same thing. You know, so if you ask me who do I think is my top 10 of all time, I'm gonna respond to you with a completely different list than who I think is the top 10 greatest ever. Because it's all about me being, you know, this is my taste. All right. So I think that Canelo did that. It's good because you need to keep the people that you're close, especially the younger Ryan Garcia. You have to be honest with him because you don't want things to go to his head. He already let his Instagram followers go to his head because he's throwing his following around all the time. You know, when they're showing their broadcasts and his fights, what are they talking about? They're talking about his Instagram followers as if we care about that. We don't care about that. We're boxing fans. We want to see you fight. You know? So that's how I feel about the whole thing with the Ryan Garcia thing, you know. Definitely want to talk more about Canelo this week as well. I did do the breakdown. You know, I read a lot of the comments on the breakdown. Most of them are good. You know, some people, you know how it is with the hardcore fans. Some hardcore fans get a little crazy, but for the most part, most of the comments are pretty good. It's pretty solid comments. But yeah. I'm not excited for the Tank Davis fight. You know, I think Tank is gonna dominate Cruz. Cruz is tough dude. You know, he could crack. He's a bully in there. He is all of that for sure. But I'm definitely kind of disappointed in the pick. But it was very predictable to pick Cruz to fight next. All right. So anyway, listen, that's the end of today's episode. I will be back tomorrow morning discussing more. We're going to talk a little bit more about Canelo and Caleb Plant because it's Canelo Caleb Plant fight week. And I do want to respond to a lot of comments that I read and talk a little bit more about that fight coming up. All right. So anyway, if you haven't already, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Definitely hit that like button, smash that like button for me. And I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next one. Peace.